One day I'm gonna be everything I wanna be. I don't let it get the most of me. One day I'm gonna be free. I wanna be everything I'm gonna be. My future right in front of me. One day I'm gonna be free. I wanna be free. To let me be free. One day I'm gonna be free. Mentally and physically, emotionally and spiritually. Yeah. One day I'm gonna be free. I'm standing at the crossroads. I'm feeling like a lost soul. Don't know where I wanna go, but all I know is I wanna be free. They telling me to let it be, but that just ain't in me, no. Jealousy and envy, but all I see is I wanna be free. See everything I wanna be, exactly what I'm gonna be. Don't let it get the most of me. Eventually, I'm gonna be free. See everything I wanna be, exactly what I'm gonna be. Yeah. One day I'm gonna be free. I'm gonna be free. Let me be free. One day I'm gonna be free. Mentally and physically, emotionally and spiritually. Yeah. One day I'm gonna be free. I told them take their aim off me. Stop trying to get a name off me. If they would just let me be, I'm gonna be free. I told them take them chains off me and throw away the locks and keys. If they would just let me be, eventually I'm gonna be free.
They're back.
What up, though? What up, though? What up, though? 7 more days, and we back again for another episode of Dominant Effect. Marsh Bishop, we got Mike Ball, we got Aaron Olinger. Man, we got a pretty good show for you today. We're gonna be touched on a couple different things. So all you ones that's on the chat line right now, just keep the chats going. Any questions you may have, pop them on there. We'll pop them up on the screen here and see if we can answer them for you. But before we get started, like always, we check to see what everybody done for the week. So, as always, we're going to start with Aaron. What's up with you, brother? How was your week?
Oh, I had a great weekend. Gun show here in my hometown city of Dayton, Ohio. Even though it was an Easter weekend, traditionally, gun shows don't do well on holiday weekends. I had a great weekend. And some of the number one products that I was selling was self-defense products and survival gear. Even out of the 4 bug out bags I built, I sold 3 of them this weekend. So I was super stoked over that.
You had a lot of stuff in your bug out bags too. I saw the post.
Oh,
It's a lot of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And for a really good price. I was like, man, I got to get one of these. Seriously.
Yeah, I'm going to be building some more here in about 2 more weeks.
Nice.
Mhm.
Nice. For me, it was nice and relaxed, chill. in the aspect of just this last week, but I have a busier week this upcoming week. I'll be flying to California Friday morning. So I'll be there for 5-6 days. So unfortunately, I won't be able to actually be on for the Diamond Effect next week, unfortunately. But yeah, it's going to be awesome. I'm going to be visiting my daughter. It's going to be a great time.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Yeah, because it's been a little bit since you've been back to California. Since
I
you
moved
you
here,
haven't been
this
back.
will be the first time. Yep.
Good stuff. Well, over on this side, it's been pretty copacetic. I mean, been just grinding on some new stuff that I'm trying to get involved with, and been moving around filming. It's kind of stopped for right now. I'm supposed to pick back up in like the next couple weeks for them to start on the nasty truth that I was talking about. Riding Dirty, part 1 and part 2 is going to hit the streaming platforms May 1st. So that's a good deal. Standing on Business, I don't think they're going to do the red carpet sometime, I think late May, early June, and it's supposed to be out in July. Last I checked.
That's going to be
And,
fun. I want to show
yeah.
up to one of those premieres.
Yeah, you need to show up to this next one, man. I think it's
Okay. Then I'll be there.
I mean, I'll let you know way ahead of time, so that way you have plenty of time to get here. Yeah, but it's a lot of stuff that's going on. It's another one. Like I said, we got Nasty Truth. You got 7 Suspects, and there's another one that I got the other day called Gasper's Treasures. It's a whole little.
So
thing
you're already adding on to like what you're going to be doing here. Oh damn, you're on top of it.
Yeah.
Do you have an agent, by the way?
No, not yet.
Oh
Not yet.
man,
But I got like another.
it sounds like you don't even
5.
need one. It sounds
Yeah,
like you are the agent.
Right. Right. Well, for right now. Do I need? Absolutely, because I get tired of doing all that stuff by myself. So do I need one? Absolutely. Do I have one right now? No. But like I said, we got those ones I just named, and then it's like another 2, possibly 3. So it's like another 5 total. 5, possibly 6.
Holy shit, dude.
That's already been scheduled. So there's some good stuff going on. I mean, it's just it's hectic because there's some other stuff that I'm doing as well, and then trying to squeeze everything in, regular job, then this, then working on this stuff over here, and there's another.
Everything takes what? Time. It's
right.
all time consuming, man. And so you can only be so, only one place and one time, right?
Right. See, that's the hard part.
Yes.
It's because you only have so much time to get this stuff done. So I do have a couple people. Got Heather Moe, and that you see on there. Got Sin, she's on there. A couple more people that they help me out tremendously. Like they go through and they're the ones that's making these phone calls and helping me out, dealing with a bunch of stuff. So they like my 2 little right hand men with women, so they've been helping me out quite a bit, So I thank God for both of them because they've both been lifesavers when it comes to a lot of stuff that I need done. They jump right on and do it. I mean, especially Sin jump on it, no question. So so thank you both for your help. And like I said, I'll keep everybody tuned in as to what's going on afterwards. But like I said, it's pretty busy right now. So, but we still gonna keep this show popping. That's the main thing. I'm gonna still keep this show popping, no matter what I'm doing. I'm still gonna be doing this show. So,
damn straight. That's right.
So we're gonna jump into the news that happened this week. Of course, I think the first thing was going on was the passing of the Pope. Pope Francis passed away on Monday. Actually, the day after Easter, which was crazy because they said that he actually did a motorcade and went out on Sunday because he wanted to to actually be out and about and then pass away the very next day. That just seemed crazy to me. But I was looking at some stuff dealing with him, and they were talking about, you know, the whole thing that they're doing now. They got to do the whole conclave and all that to be able to pick who the new pope's going to be or whatever. And I seen one where they were showing the actual pictures of the guys that were in running, and it was real unconventional because it was said that he had threw out the unwritten rule book of that bishops of certain dioceses would automatically be made cardinals and whatever, and he like threw that out. Mm-hmm. So he gave instead he gave the red hats to bishops that was in parts of the world that never had them before, like Tonga and Haiti, New Guinea, basically the ones that were considered outsiders to the Roman system were the ones that he went after. So when you look at those pictures, it was a lot of different people on there that you wouldn't normally think that were cardinals. Like two of them, say one was from Taiwan, one was from New Guinea. They were from, I mean, just different parts that you would never thought, like, man, I didn't even know they even had a cardinal over there, but they did. You know what I mean? So they said that he was more of a non-traditional pope, so to speak. You know what I mean?
In a lot of ways.
Right, in a lot of ways. And they said that he didn't do a lot of the normal stuff that the regular popes would do. So like in the mornings, for instance, they normally would send a chauffeur to pick them up and bring them to the Vatican. Well, he didn't want that. He actually got on the subway every day because he wanted to be around. He didn't want to go through all that.
That's totally interesting.
Mm-hmm. The place that he was living, they had a place that, you know, where all the popes lived at, but he didn't want to live there. He wanted to live somewhere else, to where he was able to move around. You know, they said that, what was it, like a couple weeks ago, he broke his glasses. So instead of him giving his glasses to somebody to go over and get him another pair, he walked to the place to get his glasses fixed. So they say he was out all the time. You know what I mean? He wasn't
so he wanted to be around his people.
Right. So he was around the people, you know what I mean? Which a lot of them didn't do. But they said, you know what I mean? Like I said, he got a lot of non-traditional tactics that he did, but he also lived it as well. You know, so like I said,
yeah, he didn't just preach it, you know, kind of thing. He really walked it.
Right. Yeah, he actually did exactly what it was that he was talking about. He lived. You know what I mean? So, which you don't find that too often. So, like I said, prayers and thoughts to the family, and you know, right now they're going through the actual conclave or whatever to see who the next pope is going to be. Hopefully, you know, people got a lot of mixed thoughts with that. You know what I mean? Some say that the next pope should be more conservative. Some say that, you know, he should keep basically the same values that this one did. We don't know how that's going to turn out. And then too, you know, kind of like when he came into it, he wasn't the one that they were actually looking for to become the pope at that time. They thought it was going to be somebody else. And they everybody kept talking about this one particular cardinal, and they had made announcements and whatever saying that this guy was going to be the next pope and blah, 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 blah. And then boom, wasn't him. You know what I mean?
You know what was a really weird statistic on the whole pope thing is I was like, man, I wonder how often new popes, you know, what's the average? And the average is every 7 years. I was like, holy shit. And I just learned about the tradition of the white smoke versus the black smoke. And I had no idea. I've never even heard of that up until when the Pope died. You know, when that happened, it was in the media, and they started talking about that whole process. I was like, I had no idea.
Oh yeah, it's from what I got there, it said that the conclave is crucial in deciding the future of the Roman Catholic Church, and the field of candidates was basically just wide open, thanks to a lot of the reforms that he did. So, because he basically just went through and overhauled the whole composition body of it as to how, you know, the next successor, the processes that you would have to go through. He completely changed it all. So this is going to be kind of a new thing for a lot of them to be going through, because it's, I mean, because he went through and changed a lot of it. But
Yeah, it's a little different when you change, you know, like the actual literature on things, and you go, this is now being tossed out, or this is changing. You know, it's kind of like law. When law changes, it's like it's a big deal.
right, you know, I wonder if they were, you know, being the fact that that position, you're in it for, I mean, until you die, of course. But you notice that a lot of them, once they became, you know, when they became pope, they was always like in their late 60s, early 70s,
That's the talk
you know.
about, yeah.
So you would think like maybe you would put somebody in it that was a little younger, you know what I mean? Maybe like mid 50s. That way they'd be around for a while or something.
No kidding.
So like you just put all the old dudes out there, you know what I mean? They don't really last long. But then too, you know, of course, there's a lot of things dealing with this, because, you know, they say that it's you know, to talk about the last pope, and I ain't gonna get into that, but it's a whole lot to that. That I had read up on that years ago. But it's a lot of stuff dealing with that. So when you get a chance, just take a look at it. It's a lot to that. It's a lot of what they call prophecy, dealing with that.
Right. Right.
Uh,
And
but
that's
it's
right,
pretty
Papa
interesting.
Penguin. Same thing with the president. We keep electing old dudes, you know?
Right, right. I mean, but it's a lot to it. If you look at it, also you look into if I'm not mistaken, the book of Daniel will tell you a lot about this. But when you read it, like I said, it makes a lot of sense. You know what I mean? But it kind of coincides with a lot of the dealing with like Revelation, end time, stuff like that. The Pope is all encased in that. So check it out when you get a chance. The next thing we're gonna hit is dealing with China. And you know, today there was something interesting that went on. The US and India are in the process of making a trade agreement. But the funny thing about it is, it's like, okay, we're gonna make this trade agreement with you. India jumps up and puts a tariff, raises their tariff on China. And it was said that it was that the US is actually making a lot of deals with these other countries, and was like, okay, we'll lower our tariffs on you if you heighten your tariffs on them. So we're gonna let because I know Aaron did a lot of research on this one. So I'm gonna let Aaron hit this, and then me and you, Micah, just jump in when he done.
Totally.
Yeah, because he got a whole little thing about this. Go ahead.
Okay, I've kind of got my presentation done into two parts. One, I'm gonna give a little background so people understand what they're looking at, and then the second will deal with directly with JD Vance and them's deal that they made. If you don't mind, put up picture one. Okay, what I want people to see is manufacturing wise, China's outproducing United States, Japan, Germany, and India all by themselves. China is a manufacturing beast, and we help create that. all the money that we've given them in aid and things that they've done, and the trade deals and partnerships, and seeing that they're our top trade partner, they've been able to grow. Now go to picture 2. Now I want you to see from 2000, China, you can see it's down there almost at the bottom, but they were manufacturing 249 billion. In less than 3 years, they took over the top slot. I mean, that's how aggressively and quietly they've been making moves. They outperform us.
By a long shot, too.
Yeah. Now go ahead and go to picture 3.
All right, you got it.
Okay, now what I want you to see here, this is the consumer market. We have the number 1 consumer base in the world. That 18,822 1,769, that actually represent what they call the HFC. HFC stands for Household Final Consumer Expenditure. And that includes your final expenses for your burial and everything. But in your lifetime, the average US citizen will spend $18 million over their lifetime.
Wow.
That's the reason why most corporations see us as being ATMs. They realize Americans have no will to work for something and save up for it. We want instant gratification. So if we can't get it immediately, we're going to get credit so we can go out and get it immediately. And that's what makes a lot of Americans become debt slaves.
Stupid.
But as you can see, China's number 3. Their market is an emerging market. And then not too far down the way, number 7, you'll see is India. Now, China and India has the 2 largest populations in the world. China, and this is figures based upon 2023, is 1,410,710,000. India is 1,438,000. They have eclipsed China's population base. They're now the number 2 largest population in the world. Now, considering that America, as of 2023, only had 334,914,895 people, compared to India and China both being above a billion, almost a billion and a half, our consumers are spending almost $18 million in their lifetime. And as you can see, as you go down that list, nobody comes close to us. So with China being, and you can go ahead and take that down, with China being a manufacturing beast, and their economy is totally based upon manufacturing, the only way a manufacturer can make money is to have exposure to the world's largest consumer market, which is the United States. And now they're in a price war with us. We're in a currency war with them. We're in a trade war with them. I give you an example of how scary this is starting to get. Amazon canceled inventory orders from China because the tariffs right now is going to affect the tariffs are going to affect Amazon's profit margins. So they don't want nothing to do with anything coming from China. Now keep in mind, Amazon ships 20 million products a day, $20 million in products a day. 75% come from China. That's a sizable amount of money that China's losing right now. Now, for us, what is these tariffs going to mean? It's going to create shortages, higher prices. It's going to cause problems with product availability. But China is facing major disaster right now. I mean, they cannot survive without access to our markets. That's the bottom line. Their economy will not survive. Now, right now, as of this week, China's shipping of millions of products to companies and countries around the world has almost come to a complete stop. Over 75% of their manufacturing has ended. They've got such backlogs sitting in warehouses that it's then got ridiculous. And I'm gonna tell you this. China is right now is facing a $17.8 trillion disaster as of this week. There's no nation's economy can take that kind of a hit.
Damn.
Right now, most of their manufacturing shut down 2 weeks ago. They've got no unemployment insurance for their employees. So they're doing without money, period, right now.
Most countries don't have this kind of luxury of unemployment and
Or Social Security.
Social Security.
Right.
Yeah, you're right.
The domestic market. So what they tried to do, the shippers decided, well, if we can't sell it abroad, what we're going to do is we're going to sell it domestically to our own population, which directly put the exporters in competition with the local stores and local companies, which created an oversaturation of the markets. I give you an example. There's an exporter there that manufactures jeans and sends them to the United States. He's so desperate for sales right now that he's selling jeans on the local TV like a used car salesman. He's holding them up, $1.30 a piece, $1.30 a piece, any quantity you want. He's trying to move product just to get some money coming in because he's got loans he has to pay. A lot of the companies over there have massive loans. Businesses are going bankrupt right now. So Trump is winning this. The e-commerce has become oversaturated over there with exporters putting products there. The U.S. and tariff trade war has caused export shrinkage, slowed growth in China, and increased risk of business bankruptcies, which is already happening. I'm going to stop there for right now before I get into this deal, Bishop, in case you guys want to jump in.
Well, we was talking about, but what I was actually talking about was the deal dealing with India. But we'll wait for a second with that one. Now, so you was talking about China, and I had read on there where China had completely halted the U.S. Imports of natural gas, like completely shut it down. They didn't take not a single drop of it, and they've been focusing more on coal, renewable energy, and they've been getting natural gas from Russia, of course.
Right. I mean, they can get
but
it from
nearly
Russia.
at the amounts that they were getting from the U.S. I mean,
Right.
wasn't even anywhere close.
Right.
To the amounts that they were getting. So yeah, they're gonna. You can see now. I mean, and I think the actual tariff now, like it was like on some stuff that they have, it's up to 245% on some of the Chinese products that's coming there.
Right.
So I see why Amazon would say no, we don't want no dealings with it. You know what I mean? We're not going to take anything over because they know how much money they're going to end up paying. And see, that was one of the things when we were first talking about, when we first started talking about these tariffs a while ago, that these businesses here, they got to pay that tariff. You know what I mean? Of course, they're gonna hike it up, and we're gonna have to pay, you know what I mean, the extra part of it, of course.
Mm-hmm.
But that initial boot comes from them. You know what I mean? And they don't. The one thing that they're not going to do is sit there and pay out the ass for something, especially, you know, double, triple how much it's worth. The but here's my question though. Now, you know, just like always, a trade war always ends in actual war.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
That happens.
Mm-hmm.
Now, do you think, in your personal opinion, I mean, based on what's going on here, now you can say yes, they got them pinned up right now, and they're trying to make deals with these other countries, and they like, you know, like I know they got caught the other day because they were sending stuff over to Vietnam, and they were sending it over to Mexico, and then they were taking the products and changing the made in China tags off and putting their own tags on them and was getting them in, and then they got caught.
Holy shit.
On that one just the other day. But then China also went in to the UN and filed a complaint with the United Nations saying that the U.S. was basically bullying them,
Right.
which is crazy. It's kind of funny, being the fact that, you know, I mean, China has also bullied many nations for years. They've been doing that
all the time.
So for them to pop up and say, "Hey, you know, I mean, we're being bullied," I think that's
And the UN's going to take it up like totally. They're going to love it. They're waiting, chomping at the bit because they're biased. What a garbage freaking organization. That's all I got to say.
Well, there's a bunch of like different stuff that's going on. So like they canceled their contracts with Boeing and said, okay, we're not going to buy none of the planes. But then you got the other countries that was like, well, they ain't going to buy them. We on the list. Well, they ain't made ours yet. Let's just go on and buy them. You know what I mean? So you didn't hurt them. You know what I mean? You were trying to hurt Boeing, but you didn't. You know what I mean? Because these other countries jumped up and was like, well, we on order for a plane and we got to wait 2 more years for one. So if you ain't going to buy it, we'll go and buy it. So they've been able to do that. Now, but you know what they doing, I see what they're doing. I see that they're using this, they're using these tariffs as a bargaining chip to go out to China. I know this, you know, and I know that they're gonna make these deals with these other countries and like, okay, we're gonna drop your tariff down, but you gotta raise your tariff there. You know what I mean? You basically gonna put the squeeze on them until they give in and do what you want them to do. But just something just tells me there that the more you squeeze, I don't think they're gonna respond the way that they want them to respond. You know what I mean? I don't think they're just gonna come and just say, okay, we give up. Let's just go ahead and work something out. I think they're gonna end up fighting it. You know what I mean? Because it's like it's just like a cat. And if you push him in the corner to where he don't got nowhere to go, what he gonna do? He gonna fight his way out. And I think this is what this is leading to. You know what I mean? So it's like you pushing and you pushing and you pushing. But eventually you're gonna back them up in a corner to the point that they ain't gonna have no choice but to fight. So that's one of the things that I've been thinking about. You know what I mean? Now I see the stuff that's going on with India, and I watched the video earlier. So I'll let you go ahead and jump into that one and explain exactly what that meeting entailed.
Okay, well, keep in mind now that J.D. Vance, vice president, he wants to run for president. So he's not going to be the usual quiet vice president that doesn't do anything, gets the free ride. He's out making things happen. He went over to strike a deal with India's prime minister. And if he gets it and it looks like it's going that way, this is explosive here because India is one of the founding partners of the BRIC Alliance. I mean, BRICCS, it stands for India. Second largest population in the world. Mostly their market is closed off to American products. But J.D. Vance is trying to strike a deal with them that could be a big boom for both the United States and India. We're going to give them more exposure to our markets with hardly no tariffs. They're going to open up their markets to our products. And we've got access to a population that's now larger than China.
Could be BRCS.
Right. So what they're talking about doing is opening the markets to both India and U.S. markets. India is going to put tariffs on China imports to make it difficult for China to bring stuff in there. I mean, India's totally dumping China right now. Their goal with this alliance is to create new jobs for both workers in the United States and India. They want to build a durable supply chain between the two, and they want to achieve prosperity for the workers. India, that's the reason why their markets are closed off to the world's economies, because India has been struggling to maintain growth for their workers. They care about their industry, they care about the workers. Now, if more American politicians would have done the same, we wouldn't have been involved in some of these ridiculous things that has got us in the position where we are today, with all these high bills and debts and having to fight a damn trade war right now. But JD Vance and them went over there to striking this deal. India seems to be on board with joining us against China, which that is going to greatly affect the BRIC alliance. I mean, and like you said earlier, China went to the UN, literally organized a meeting and accused the United States not only of bullying, but weaponizing the tariffs. And could we be doing it? Maybe. But this is the cost of doing business. You want to fight a damn trade war with us? War is war. There's no rules. And knowing how they bully their own people, knowing how they bully everybody, all the countries and their neighbors in the Southeast Asian area, I was aghast that they would even open their mouths and accuse us of bullying. I mean, they are the bullies. So I'm kind of laughing at the audacity that they had, and the UN actually listened to that garbage. When everybody from the Philippines that up to Vietnam has complained about China sinking their boats, fishing boats, and bullying them and making threats to them, anyone that even offered help to Taiwan, China would come in against them and put sanctions and stuff against them. So the bully is crying about being bullied. That's laughable.
Seems about right. Seems about
That's
right.
laughable.
You know, yeah, totally.
Emotional
But
damage.
this happened like 4 hours ago. And as soon as I heard about it, I had to tell Bishop about it. I said, this is powerful here. If we strike this deal with India, China can just say right now, we've lost a trade war. Now,
Yep.
will they graciously concede and quit? I don't think they will.
Nah, hell no.
The sleeping dragon
They're
will eventually have to fight. Same
Their
way
ego too.
Yeah. The same way we backed Japan during World War II, we backed them into a corner with the oil embargo, and we wouldn't let them have oil. So they came out swinging and attacked us at Pearl Harbor. When we put this in effect with India and then other countries join in to put tariffs on China, oh man, how could they sit there and take that? I mean, when products stop crossing borders, troops usually start to cross borders. So I'm gonna stop there, Bishop.
Yeah, it's gonna be a little crazy. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Because I think that if that took place, I think the first thing that they would do is try to hit Taiwan. That'll be the first thing they would hit. Because they know that they would automatically get a response from the U.S., which that's what they want to do. So at that point, it would be like a two birds with one stone type scenario. Now, here's my thing with India, though. So yes, India is in the BRIC alliance, and I'm trying to word this correctly. So in the BRIC alliance, you done had summits, you done had all these talks, okay, with Brazil, Russia, China, South Africa, and then all these other countries that wanted to jump in and be a part of it as well. So you done had all these.
Plus. Yep.
Now, it's kind of hard to believe that one meeting in India say, "Oh, you know what? I'm just gonna do away with them." It just don't seem right. You know what I mean? Now,
what's in it for them, kind of thing, for real?
Well, that too, but it's kind of like, you betrayed your friend that easy.
True. True.
I had one talk with you, and you just like, oh, okay, no problem. Yeah, we're gonna do this. We're gonna open this up.
They probably have weekly meetings. You know what I mean?
Right. It's like It's like something about that don't quite add up. It sounds good.
True.
But something about it just don't quite add up there. You know what I mean? Now I do know that they all kind of in competition there because of this, because of the steel, because trying to make it that cheap steel, and trying to underbid everybody to be able to sell their steel. And of course, the U.S., India, the U.K., a lot of them are jumping in on that because they actually trying to be slick when it comes to that. You know what I mean? Because they were able to sell their steel way cheaper than anybody else was. But like I said, it's cheap. You know what I mean? So you know what happens when you buy cheap. It may it may hold up, it may not. You know what I mean? Um so I know that was a part of these deals that they was talking about. But like I said, it still seems weird to me though, how you just go have one meeting with this um, prime minister, and then all of a sudden it's just like, oh yeah, yeah, we just gonna work out something with you guys. You know what I mean? Especially being the fact that we haven't, they hadn't been letting anybody even even buy anything over in India. Especially after Walmart jumped in and bought Flipkart.
Right.
But they bought like 70% of Flipkart.
Yep.
And that's like the Indian version of Amazon.
Amazon. Yep.
So they jumped in and bought that years ago. And then once they did it, then they like shut everything down. Like, okay, ain't nobody else coming in here buying nothing.
Oh shit.
And so now they're actually opening it back up. The way they've been talking now, they're gonna open it up to a lot of the US retailers and whatnot. But like I said, it just all seems weird though. You know what I mean? It's like it's something else there. Like, okay, like I'm gonna get this little bit over here, and like I'm still gonna mess with you, but I ain't gonna mess with you. You know what I mean? Like I can't mess with you like in front of them, but I can mess with you when they gone. I can fuck with you, but not while they here.
Hey, sometimes that's a better deal.
You know what I mean?
Sometimes it's a better deal.
I'm saying, but like I said, like it just seems weird. You know what I mean? Just one conversation, and then all of a sudden, boom.
True.
Okay, yeah, let's do this.
Well,
It's like it's something else there.
The biggest thing for India, and the reason why, like I said, they shut their markets off, is they've been fighting for India's industries and their workers. They didn't want outside competition coming in. They want to raise the standard of living up for their people. So they've got to try to make money. Now, if you're going to take China out, and if India can actually match China's manufacturing capability, even if they can't right now, but over the years, man, all those jobs, all that money coming into India's economy will automatically raise the standard of living for the Indian people, because that's what it did for China. China was living in shacks and stuff until American money started rolling in there and they started getting access to our markets. Now, look how fast they grew in just the last 3 years.
Now, the way that India, I'm maybe wrong on this, but you guys probably know way better than I do. But don't they kind of look at their market as like kind of like a nationalistic point of view, like they are going to protect them and them only kind of thing? Yeah, that's what I figured. I just wanted to, because not everyone knows these kind of things. Real quick, I just want to say, Plumpy coming in with the $2, by the way, saying the sun is setting and my DGen is turning on. Hey, I appreciate that. I get down with that. Appreciate the 2 spot, by the way.
But like I said, with China facing, as of this week, $17.8 trillion as a disaster so far, and we're just on the outer edge of this. We haven't even got into the depth of all the fighting yet. And man, this could last 2 or 3 years easily. Like I said, at the end of trade war, somebody's economy is going to be wrecked. And 17.8 trillion over just about any other country, even the United States right now, 17.8 trillion would wreck us. We couldn't come back from that.
Yeah, that's a big dip.
Yeah, you ain't kidding. And
Yeah,
it's
I think
just
there's quite a few of them that's kind of backstepping, backpedaling on stuff that they had said. Like for instance, you remember back, what was it, about a month ago, when they were talking about China, North Korea, and Japan was having talks, and they were basically trying to coordinate a joint response to the tariffs. And North Korea planned to import semiconductors from China, and then they would agree to give them chips and go back and forth.
I think I heard about that.
That was
I remember something about this.
that was the original thing that came out. But then today they said, well, we talked, but that wasn't what we talked about. So like they backed up off.
Yeah,
of it.
they denied it. Yeah, kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So the one thing that me and Aaron was watching, they were talking about it towards the end of it. They were talking about it, and they said that that was all fabricated. Like, yeah, they did meet and they did talk, but they didn't make any agreements on
But
anything.
it wasn't what you think it is. Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Like they didn't make no agreements. Like we didn't say we was gonna do nothing. We talked, but we didn't say we was gonna do it. You know what I mean? So it's crazy all the way around. I mean, but I think that's going. I'm telling you, man, that's a powder keg right there.
It is.
Because you know what I mean, like I said, like India right beside them. They right beside them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but I just think like they're not gonna go after India. I mean, India got just about as many people as they do.
They do.
They're not gonna go after India.
Mm-hmm.
But they're gonna have to come up with a way to where if I'm losing money here, I got to do something. You know what I mean? I have to do something because if I don't, I'm gonna lose everything. You know what I mean? And you know, it's taking them a long time for them to get to where they are right now anyway. So it's not like, okay, I'm just gonna take 2 steps back and just let them have their way. I'm not gonna do it. You know what I mean? So they would have to go after Taiwan. They would have to. That would be the only that would be the only logical thing to do, because you know that if you do that, I mean, mind you, you want Taiwan because you want those semiconductors and you want those chips. You want those, but also you also know that by doing that, you're gonna get the U.S. involved, which technically right now I really don't give a shit about Taiwan, but I want you out. So that could just be a huge setup. But we're gonna see. We're gonna see. I think it's gonna hit though. I think they're gonna start fighting.
Mm-hmm.
They're gonna have to. I mean, there's really not nowhere else you can go with that.
That trade war going into the real world war.
Right.
Yep.
I mean, because you think. I mean, like you ain't never heard of no tariff, no 245%,
No.
149%, 100%, it's even 75%. You ain't never heard that. But they keep going back and forth. But they going back and forth playing this little cat and mouse game. Okay. Everything you raise, I'm gonna raise. And we're gonna keep going and we're gonna see, you know, when you're gonna stop. But it's not gonna stop. You know what I mean? Because Trump ain't gonna stop until you fold. China's not gonna stop because they like, nah, bullshit. We didn't work too hard to get up here for us to fold. We ain't gonna do it. So what's gonna have to happen? We're gonna have to fight. Ain't no point in us keep sitting here playing this shit here. Let's fight.
Yeah.
Whoever wins,
definitely not wrong.
but we're gonna see. We're gonna see how this rocks. Another thing that I seen on there the other day was, did you see the briefing where they were doing the SAVE Act? Did you hear about that?
No.
Okay, so the SAVE Act is a bill that was brought up before the House, and it passed the House by 2 votes, going to the Senate. Now, the reason why I'm bringing this up is because of what exactly this bill entails. And this bill is basically entailed for women. And what it consists of is this. If you are married, when it's time to vote and you're married, the woman does not get a vote. The man only gets to vote for the household. If you are divorced, and let's say you divorced and you still have your married name, you better have a passport. Because if not, when you go to vote, you have to present your birth certificate and your ID. And if your last name is different than your birth certificate, you can't vote. Now, I know it sounds a little far-fetched, but this is what's going on these days. Like I said, this is one of them situations that we be talking about where they throwing this stuff out for everybody to see. And while they doing that, this here kind of creeps by. Ain't nobody talking about it. So there's been several shows that I've watched with these different women talking about that, basically saying that is bullshit. You know what I mean?
Well, what you're saying is right here. I mean, it is what you're saying. A bill recently approved by the U.S. House of Representatives could make it much more difficult for married women to vote. And this is off the El Paso Times, by the way. But anyways, the Republican-controlled House on April 10th approved a bill from U.S. Rep. Chip Roy entitled the Safeguard American Voter Eligibility Act, or SAVE Act. Republicans contend the bill is needed to protect the integrity of elections and ensure non-citizens are not casting ballots, something that is already illegal, while opponents insist the bill will disenfranchise millions of lawful registered voters. And that is that is facts there. Let's see. It says, and the impact will likely be worse for the roughly 69 million U.S. women who have changed their names after marriage. I want to see what they're talking about, why it would do that. I'm trying to see. You guys make sure you can pause the video at any time. I'm not going to read all this, but this is there. Let's see the concern. But yeah, so I'll definitely look at this, but it is, they are saying that.
Scroll back down. I mean, go up a little bit. Right up above her. Read that concern part right there.
Concerns about the SAVE Act. While the description of the legislation seems insensuous enough, I don't know how to say that. Anyways, many on the left are concerned it will disenfranchise large swaths of the electorate. Though she did not respond to multiple requests for comment on the legislation, U.S. Representative Veronica Escobar took to X the day the bill was passed to vent her frustration, noting that as many as 5.6 million Texas women could be barred from registering to vote or casting a ballot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So basically, how they doing that is let's say say you and your girl get married, right? When it's time to vote, you would have the only vote. She couldn't go vote. It would only be you. Like, you basically voting for the house. Now, let's say,
what qualifies you to be able to vote for the house? Like, I mean, I understand one vote per household type of thing, but how are they doing it? Are they doing it based off of a patriarchal structure here, legitimately, or are they looking at it? How are they looking at it?
well, actually, one of the big things is that, I mean, like, this is just part of it that they're doing. You know what I mean? When they first coming out, they saying that they doing it to keep illegals from voting. That's what they said. But when you're looking at the actual bill, it doesn't focus on illegals. It focuses on women. So that's like you said, like you bring something out, and then, like I said, if you really don't look into it, you'd be like, oh, okay, whatever, and you go on about your business, not knowing that this is what's actually going on. But it was also stated on there that if she goes to vote, that her name, first and last name, has to be the same that's on her birth certificate. If it's not, then you cannot vote. Even if you said,
Oh,
hey,
I
I was married.
understand.
Hey, I'm married, but this is
I
this
get the
is
argument. I get the argument. So basically, it comes down to that women that have changed their names, through marriage. When you do that, unfortunately, that's not going to reflect what's on your birth certificate, right? I understand what the
because they
ordeal
gotta
is.
go through
Well,
the whole
it's a
process.
byproduct. It's not a direct hit on women, but it's a byproduct of what could happen here. I totally understand it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, like I said, it kind of seems it's more focused on women because, of course, I mean, we don't got to change our names. We don't got to do that. You know what I mean? But, like when a woman gets married, of course, she got to go. She got to have her social security card changed. You know what I mean? She got to, because all of that goes along with it. You know what I mean? So, because she took your last name. So that's what they're going by. But they said at first that it was supposed to be like you read on there. It was supposed to be to stop illegals from voting and stuff like that. But based on how it's worded, I mean, yes, it does cover that, but it also falls back on a lot of these women as well. So it's supposed to be going through the
This is totally interesting.
Senate now.
Right.
About
That's what Mr. just said right there. Boom. And you're right. And he says, of course, they are slow walking important legislation instead of getting it right. Yeah, exactly. No kidding.
Yeah. Now I know Saturday when I was out with the guy who was out riding, it was probably about 100 miles up north, up near the Panhandle area, and was going through this town, and they had this rally going on. It was like both sides of the road for about a mile. I mean, it was thousands of people out there, and it looked like about a good 70% of them was women, and they had all these different signs up. You know what I mean? Fuck Trump. You know what I mean? Women's rights, blah 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 blah. It was like
it sounds about right.
It was like a mile on both sides of the road, all the way down, and they had like masked cops out there. It was crazy, but it was. We had stopped at the gas station right up the road from there, and there was some people there, and we was asking them what was all that about, and they said it was because of that bill that they were protesting the SAVE Act bill.
Mm.
So that's what kind of got my attention on it, because I didn't know what it was at that point.
Yeah, I didn't hear about it until you brought it up.
Yeah, I had no idea what it was until she said it. And then when I got home, of course, I looked it up. I'm like, oh, where'd that come from? I mean, that's new. You know what I mean? So, yeah, that's another one that I'm gonna be keeping my eye on, simply because it's like I said, it's going to the Senate. It's baby stepping its way to the Senate. You know what I mean? And I think, with all the protests and stuff about that, I don't know whether it's going to pass or not. I mean, but then too, you got to think about who you're dealing with in the Senate as well. You know what I mean? So, actually protecting women's rights is really not one of their main priorities anyway. That's always been that way. You know what I mean? So, and you're dealing with a bunch of old geezers that's been there since the beginning of time.
No kidding.
And they would like nothing more than you be at home and take care of the kids and cook and shut the hell up.
They should at least have a few young guys, you know what I mean? Like, to counterbalance this bullshit.
Well, they actually should put a limit on it, just like they do the president.
No kidding.
Where you ain't there for
when you're 177 and still there. Yeah.
Right. I mean, so a lot of that stuff should be changed. You know what I mean? Of course. But then too, along with that, you got to remember one thing too. Whether you whether you 27 in the house or you 97 that's in the house, everybody had a mama. Everybody had a mama. Most of you got sisters. You know what I mean? So when you making these votes, are you not thinking about that when you're making these votes? You know what I mean? I mean, like, seriously? Now, I understand the fact that you trying to keep illegals from voting. Okay, then that's something that you could do. You know, your wording would make it to where it's just dealing with that. But when you make it broad spectrum like it is, to where they pick up on it and was like, hold on, well, this means that, you know, if I'm a woman and my name, I did a name change because I got married, then that means I don't got no vote.
Right. That's you running the logic train on these
Right.
things, as you should, on everything, to make sure it clears all of the logic train. Yeah. What up, Charles? See you down there in Australia. Appreciate it.
Yeah, so that's the downfall to this. You know what I mean? It's like what we done seen, I've done seen here the past few weeks. It's been you see the main stuff on the news, like they talk about, you know, they got a couple little things that they talk about, and you know it's kind of like, I'm thinking that they going through for real. I think they're really going through and they making out a list as, okay, this is what you're allowed to talk about. And they send it to Fox and they send it to CNN and MSNBC and whoever else and say, okay, this is all you can talk about. Because you notice when you go on there, you hear the same shit on every one of them. They all talking about the same exact stories. You just getting a different side of the story. You know what I mean? But you're hearing about the same story. But all this other little stuff that's going on, you don't hear nothing about. You know what I mean? Like the fact that they were talking about, what is that, on May 5th, that they're gonna start garnishing student loans out of people's checks. A lot of people didn't know anything about it. You know what I mean? Now, here's the thing. When you was giving out P loans and you forgave $800 billion in PPP loans, which a lot of people several of them from the House and the Senate, I think like 10 or 12, got like millions of dollars off of that shit that you forgave. But you jump up and you was like, okay, starting May 5th, the Department of Education is going to go through. And if you on default on these student loans, then we're going to garnish your check and get this money. You know what I mean? So you got a lot of people that's pitching the fit over that. You know what I mean? So, but how many people actually knew about it? Probably very few. Probably the only ones that really knew about it was the ones that got student loans. And they done got a letter in the mail saying that, you know what I mean, you either call and make out some kind of agreement with them, and we're going to start going after your check. Now, the average person, let's say, for instance, especially being the fact that we're talking about this, talking about these tariffs and all this other stuff. You know, we all know that the price is going to be going up pretty soon. We know it's going to be going up. So you got that going on. Your groceries going to go up. Your electric bill is going to go up. You know what I mean? Car insurance going up. House payments going up. All the stuff that we already know is going to go up. Okay. Now let's say that you one of these people that's in default. Well, probably the reason why you're in default is because what? You don't got the money to pay it, right? Whether your job, household area, I mean, I don't know. Whatever your situation is, you're at the point that you couldn't pay it. Okay. Now we're going to turn around and we're going to garnish your wages. So whatever check that you got, then we're going to take, 20% of, 30% of, whatever, and put it towards this loan. Where does that leave them? Even more broke than they were from the beginning. You know what I mean? So now you got another problem. Add on to it, you got a lot of these places now that's that's starting to lay off people. You just seen a thing yesterday where the FDA done laid off so many people that they can't even, like when you buy your milk and then you see that grade A, grade B, whatever on your milk, that tells you that it's been properly inspected, doesn't have any chemicals, any other patches, anything like that in it. Now they're saying that being the fact that they didn't have to lay off so many people from the FDA, that they can't properly inspect the milk. So there's no guarantee what's in it, which in turn can cause another problem.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So it's like one thing is done. It's like a trickle down effect. One thing happens, which in turn hits this, which in turn hits this, which in turn hits this.
True.
Now you throw on the student loan deal. Okay. I'm already trying to make ends meet as it is. Rent done went high groceries, everything else. You got kids, you know what I mean? I just don't have it. Okay. Now I'm getting ready to garnish your wages on that. Where's the help? There is none. There is none. The biggest thing that we need to like clearly put into our minds and come to the realization is that your definition of comfortable that you used to have is no longer here, and it will not get back there. That form of comfortable is gone.
Start living below your means.
Right. So you're going to have to figure out another way to do it, because the way it's going now, what you consider as being comfortable is no more.
Mm-hmm.
What you got, Aaron?
Well, I want to use an analogy of the three pigs, if you bear with me. We need to get a mindset established. There's going to be three mindset statuses that you can live under. And let's use the pig to build his house of straw. That's going to be the person that has the mindset that I'm going to continue to live above my means. This isn't going to affect me, this trade war and economic war and this inflation. They're delusional. They're going to end up bankrupt over the next 3 years of what we're about to go into, because we're on the outer edge yet. We ain't seen the worst of it yet. The pig that builds his house of stick, that's the pig that is living at his means. And because of the high inflation and higher prices we've experienced last 4 years, he's bobbing up and down in the water. He's maintaining his own, but he's bobbing. Now, as soon as these higher prices come in, he's going to sink below water. The only person that's going to make it through the next 3 years is the pig that builds his house of brick. That's the person that lives below their means, because now they can put back cash. And when they get hit with the higher prices, they can take the hit. They're going to prioritize their spending. They're going to buy what they can now before the price increases. They're going to pay off debt, and they're going to cut unnecessary expenses. The person that does that is going to make it through the next 3 years. The other two, not so well. But I'm going to stop there.
Yeah, but some people, though, let's just say, for instance, everybody got credit card bills. Everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Now, just getting them down is a task all by itself. Not because of the fact that your credit cards is high, but the fact that you got so many other things that you take care of.
It's a lot of priority.
Right. Mm-hmm. So you got rent, you got utilities, you got car payment, you got insurance, food. If you got Wi-Fi, water bill, trash, medical expenses, whatever. Like the list goes on. Everybody got different ones. So by the time you get your check, and you're like, okay, what is it I'm gonna be able to pay this time?
Mm-hmm.
And you going through and you paying this and putting something on this and putting something on this to kind of stretch that check out to where you can, at least get some money in all these people's hands.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't have it all, and then you sitting there like, shit, I'm right back to square one. I gotta wait 2 more weeks. if I could figure this out. You know what I mean? And then you go through the same process over and over again. You know what I mean? So a lot of times it's like, it sounds good. Like, yeah, okay, I'm gonna get this paid off. I'm gonna get this done. I'm gonna get this done. It sounds good until reality hits. You know what I mean? When that rent payment is $1,700 and your truck payment and the car payment is $600-700 and your insurance is $200-300, and you know what I mean, you still ain't bought food yet. You know what I mean? Your light bill $200-300. You still ain't bought food yet. You know what I mean? Kids playing sports. You playing for that.
Yeah.
You ripping and running back and forth. Gas.
I was just about to say gas. That's a
You know what I
humongous
mean?
bill at the end of the day,
Gas.
right there.
You know what I mean? Car, truck breakdown, whatever, maintenance, anything.
Totally.
You know what I mean? So it's like you can sit there
I read
and
a
have a good
statistic.
job,
Totally.
but you got so much expenditures that even with a good job, you still looking at the end of it and was like, shit, I'm fucking broke.
Yes. And that's one little statistic that I kind of got that was mind blowing. So, Americans specifically, it's a little different, but worldwide, if you have $5,000 right now, you have more money than 50% of the entire world. Now, when it comes to the United States, it's like if you don't have any debt and you have $10 or whatever in your wallet, you're like automatically in the top like 70, you're skipping 70 or 60% of people. It's something ridiculous where people are so in debt that even if you were just broke, flat broke, but didn't know anything, you're already ahead of millions upon millions upon millions of people. It's unreal.
And it's gonna get worse.
Yeah. We're the biggest consumers on
Right.
everything. We just spend money just to spend money because it looks cool.
Right.
Go ahead, Eric.
Yeah, I just want to say now, people need to understand you didn't fall into debt overnight. This is going to have to be a well thought out process. You're at war. It's time to circle the wagons. You're going to have to start figuring out how to get out of debt so you don't be part of the collateral damage when this economic war or whatever trade war ends. You don't want to be one of the ones that lost everything in the process and be the collateral damage. You didn't fall into debt overnight. You're not going to fall out of debt out overnight either. So this has to be planned out. You're going to have to, someone's mentioned bologna sandwiches. It might be peanut butter and jelly. I mean, you got some people that through this is going to be counting dollars. You got others going to be counting pennies. Now, I admit I'm going to be one of the ones counting pennies, rolling them up, taking them to the bank to have some extra change in my pocket. But it's going to get tight. I mean, through the last 4 years of high inflation and high prices, Americans don't need even higher prices to get ready to hit, but it's going to happen. People have to understand that the mindset has to change. Once you change the thought in your mind, then these hands can start to work toward accomplishing the goals. But the mind has to change first. But I'll stop there.
What was that they were talking? I seen a message on it. Hold on a minute. What's this message here? They can't get an answer from the social UBI CBDC is unavailable. I'd rather have a capitalist run it. Do a lot of people even know what UBI is? You know what UBI is?
Universal basic income.
I didn't know that.
We're heading toward it. I mean, that person's got a point where we are heading toward that.
Right. So UBI is basically like a social welfare proposal that would give all the citizens a regular, unconditional cash payment. And the goal is to reduce poverty and
sounds like socialist ideology
or whatever. Right. And then you got the CBDC, which of course that's all digital to where they know, what you're spending it on. They can actually tell you what you can't spend it on. Goes on down the line with that to where the government basically knows every single penny that you make, what's taxable, what's not taxable, what you spend it on, what you can't spend it on. Now, both of those right now, if you ask the average person, would you accept either one of these? They would say, fuck no. I don't want that. They're going to automatically tell you that. Why? Because I don't want the government in my business, which has always been the thing. I don't want the government in my business. Should nobody be able to tell me what I can and cannot spend my money on? That's what you're going to hear. But if everything crashes,
that's
and
it.
your dollar ain't worth the papers printed on, then guess what? You're going to beg them for that shit. And that's exactly how it's going to come into play.
Right.
They're not gonna introduce that in. It's like, okay, well, we just gonna bring this in. This is the grand reset, everybody. We're gonna bring this new currency in, and everybody's gonna love it. Bullshit. It's not gonna do that. What they're gonna do, they're gonna make your ass suffer until you beg for that, to where you, because you have no other choice. That's exactly what they're gonna do.
Well, and like what Mr. said, he says, my problem with it will always come with prerequisites, as well as he says, what if you don't like jabs? Do you not get your monthly UBI? I mean, they could sit there and put any type of measure to make you qualify.
I forget the one country I see the documentary on not too long ago, that once you become an adult, you work for the first 10 years. And then after then, you didn't have to work no more. And you like got paid, you know what I mean, for the rest of your life. But you only had to give them 10 years of work, which was weird to me, but that's what they did. I mean, ain't nobody complained about it. Everybody was fine with it.
Where was this at?
I forget where it was at. I seen this documentary thing it was about a couple weeks ago when I seen it. And I was, because when I heard it, I was like, shit, 10 years, that's it? Shit.
Everyone's like 20 to 30 years old. That's the whole workforce.
Right, exactly. Like, hell, I could do that standing on my head. That ain't nothing. But the way this stuff is going here, though, like, let's just be real. You talking about CBDC, that it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen in our lifetime. Why? Because of stuff that we got going on right now. It's gonna happen.
Yeah.
You're gonna crash. That dollar's gonna crash. And it ain't gonna just be the dollar. It's gonna be all of them. They're gonna crash. And the only other way to bring it back is to have some kind of stability, that you're gonna have to go into a one market. Everything is the same. You're gonna have to do it, and it's gonna happen, whether we want it to happen or not. It's gonna happen. Thing is that what is it that you gotta go through before it does happen? Because there's gonna be some suffering there. They've already told you it's gonna be. I mean, it just hasn't kicked in yet. You know what I mean? Why do you think over in Europe right now, they got daily broadcasts that they put out telling people to get their supplies together? It's a daily thing that comes on for them to get their supplies together, because they know that it's getting ready to happen. Here, don't nobody say shit. They just wait for it to happen. Don't nobody say nothing over here. But they have been over there, and they've been doing it for the past few months. Every single day, they put that broadcast out. Go ahead, Aaron. What you got, bro?
Yeah. And I just wanted to say gold finished today at $3,371.98. It went up $76.42 overnight. For gold to be rising like it was, like we mentioned on the show when gold was at 2,800, that the dollar was only worth 76 cents. Now that gold's at $3,371, hey, as far as I'm concerned, they've just about lost control. Ain't gonna tell them what our money's worth right now. And the world, everybody in the world is scrambling to buy gold and silver right now. I'm not gonna say everybody, but those that can see the handwriting on the wall, that's what they're doing. And that would indicate a lack of faith that the government has control of everything that's going on. I'll stop there.
What you got, Mike?
No, man, this is a total trip, especially with the whole regarding this whole India United States economic ordeal here. I find that to be already like a major thing that is happening right now. And if it's true that we can somehow work out some sort of deal, that's going to be a huge win for us and a major loss for the BRIC Alliance. Um, and that's gonna be epic if that comes to fruition, which I hope it does. Honestly, I hope it does. But this what's happening around the world, like what we have right here, fast-paced world news in just 60 minutes. Like in what you were saying with all of these crazy stories, like there's, for instance, like New Jersey is up in flames right now. You know what I mean? Which is wild. There's 3,000 people that are evacuated, or 3,000, yeah, 3,000 people that have been evacuated, and like 1,300 structures are in danger of like this actual fire. So we have a lot of shit going on around the world right now.
And I'd like to add to that situation with the Houthis.
Yes.
United States is sending advisors, I guess that would be the word to use, special forces advisors to Yemen. Yemen right now is calling up 80,000 soldiers. They're going to mobilize 80,000, and we're going to do what we did in Afghanistan with that pony soldier thing, where our soldiers were on the ground calling in airstrikes. We're going to do the same thing. Once they get those 80,000 trained, they're going up into those mountains after those Houthi mountain boys, and they're going to try to decimate them. And they're going to help the Yemen government to get rid of them once and for all. And the United States is going to be right behind it, and we're going to be providing them with all the air support and probably money and weapons as well. So that situation, they're not going to let them sit there and just be shooting at ships right there in the Red Sea. They're going to try to secure that, but we're not going to use our troops to do it other than air support. So I'll stop there.
No, I think with all of this combined, like I said, we're gonna shut this down for the evening. But it's something I wanted to say before we close. What we sit here and discuss every week, like I said, we talk about this. We bring up all this information every week, and we bring it up with the hopes that people will take heed to what it is that we're saying and be able to be proactive and do what they need to do to be able to at least have a fighting chance in this, because times has changed in the worst way. And if you think about it, what was said before to be good, like stuff that was good back in the day, is now considered as being bad. And the stuff that was bad is now our normal. It's a huge flip. It's a lot of things going on. It's a lot of stuff that's going on behind closed doors, secret meetings, stuff that we're not going to be privy to, stuff that they're not even going to report. And this is what we do. You know what I mean? This is the reason why I started the show in the first place, to be able to put out what they didn't want to put out, to let people know exactly what was going on, the truth as to what's going on out here. So I'll say that to say this. Get your stuff in order. Not just food, water, stuff like that, but also here. Get this together. Because it doesn't matter what you have outside of here. You can have supplies stocked up from here to the ceiling. But if your mind ain't right, you might as well not have nothing.
That's a good point.
So I just want to let everybody know that. Like I said, once again, I appreciate you all for being out here. Like, follow, share, subscribe. Hit the like button on your way out. Hit it on both mine and Mike's, so that way we can get this out here. Send this video on to your friends, somebody. I mean, because the more people that watch this, the more people that come on here every week and watch this, the more information we're able to share. more people that's actually enlightened as to what's really going on here. You know what I mean? This ain't a woke agenda. This is a truth agenda.
Mhm.
And if you know the truth, then you can go a whole lot further. So thank you all once again, and I'll see y'all next week. Go ahead, Aaron.
Okay, and I just want to reiterate, prioritize your spending. Hold on as much money as you can, because when these higher expenses come in, it's the difference between sinking or swimming. Live below your means as much as you can. Not at your means, not above your means. Live below your means and hold on to that money, because this is going to get bad and you don't want to lose everything. Forget worrying about maintaining this high level lifestyle to impress your friends. To be the survivor at the end is what's going to make a difference. You are in a survival situation. This is shit hits the fan. So don't get it confused. Circle the wagons, talk with the family, let everybody know we got to get on a program, get everybody's mindset the same, and work together for a common goal. And I'll stop there.
Aaron, you definitely touched on something that I definitely wanted to reiterate myself, was living below your means, right? And I love that you said not at your means, not, everyone knows not to go above your means, right? They commonly know that, but living at your means that's not even acceptable. Like, if you can afford a big car payment, well, why not like go for maybe a $5,000 or $6,000 used car that's reliable, and start thinking that way instead of trying to keep up this, what we have unfortunately had this culture of like people that want to like flex what they've got kind of thing.
Mhm.
And just to impress other people that don't give a fuck about you. So it's ironic that we do that here, especially in America, a lot. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, much love, honor, respect to everybody. Stick around if you guys are on my side. We're going to be sending you guys off to Grid One Motorsports, so stick around for that. With that being said, much love, honor, respect, everybody. And thank you both, Aaron and AB, for the immense amount of knowledge and research that you guys do, man. I learn a lot myself. So much love to everybody. See you guys.
Goodbye.